Okay, good afternoon. I'm checking to ensure that you are actually paying attention because today is a day that you do not want to miss. We welcome you here on behalf of a collaborative partnership that is built in collective impact because, my friends, housing is health care. And so we are delighted that you would be here as we really begin to talk to you about the partnership that we hope will begin to change and shift the game in the South Ward of the city of Newark. And when we say that, what do we mean? Well, what we mean is the fact that housing is directly connected to health outcomes. And so we expect to see, by virtue of this shared collaboration, future generations who have better health outcomes, who are better and not suffering from things like asthma or cardiovascular disease, whose mental wellness shall be encouraged as a result of the housing that they reside in. 60% of all renters in Newark, some 41,000 households, are rent burdened, meaning that they spend more than 30% of their total income on housing costs. In the current rental market, the average asking rent in Newark is $1,410. The South Ward has an even higher vacancy rate than other wards. Factors that have been determined to contribute to this high vacancy rate in the South Ward is really because of the low income residents who are attracted to that ward in particular, but who also face a lack of high quality affordable housing there. There's a lot of data that proves this out, but I will tell you that today is a day for celebration because as a result of this partnership, we expect to see improved mental and physical health, a reduction in future health care costs, reduction in likelihood of incarceration, to reduce food insecurity, and to improve educational outcomes for children and lifetime earnings. This sounds like an incredibly audacious plan. Understand that these are not merely my metrics, rather, they come from the data that's been collected to date about the benefit of an investment in housing through a housing first model and what it can do for a community. So we're delighted on this morning to be able to make certain that you are a part of this journey at its very beginning. Without further ado, what I'd want to do is to make certain that I introduce the next individual who will speak to you. Now, everyone always says that she needs no introduction, but the truth is that she deserves one. When you have dedicated your life to public service in this state, in this community, when you have risen to the ranks of being the very first African-American woman to serve in statewide office and as Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Jersey, you deserve every accolade. But what is most interesting is that while she has climbed through every single rung, she has always kept the concerns of the local community in the forefront of her mind. She knows the names of every neighbor, and she is here to speak to us about this incredible program today. Your Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver.
Good afternoon, everyone. I had to tease Micheline when I came here because she's got that boot on. I've got a cane, so I don't know how many rungs of a ladder we're climbing these days. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here with you today to help kick off this exciting new initiative here in the city of Newark, and particularly with RWJ Barnabas. I want to thank Micheline and Barry Ostrowski, our fearless leader over at RWJ, for the outstanding leadership that RWJ is bringing to every community where their presence is, and to show you their commitment to Newark and their commitment to this initiative. We've got some of their board members here as well. And of course, we have Mark Burson here, and I saw Frank John Tomasi. There's Frank and Frank here. And I want to thank the trustees for making a commitment to this initiative. As the Lieutenant Governor, in addition to serving as a Lieutenant Governor, I am the Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. And DCA is considered by the federal government to be the top, quote, public housing authority in the state. We do a variety of different things at DCA, but our firm focus is on development of housing, economic development initiatives, and doing neighborhood transformations. We operate a variety of different programs. We administer about 30,000 Section 8 vouchers statewide. We have something called the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program, where we work with community groups and municipalities to develop commercial corridors in the state. We also develop initiatives to support nonprofits that do wraparound services. So I've had the opportunity while I've been the commissioner to understand the impact that HMFA, my sister agency, the Redevelopment Authority, and then our resources. We've been working closely in this administration to leverage our resources and focus in on what the citizens of New Jersey really need. Governor Murphy and I understand the connection between our healthcare systems and specialized population. And, you know, Barnabas, through its large network, has built a strong foundation in many communities across New Jersey by supporting health and wellness programs at the community level. I have to tip my hat to our head of the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, who keeps abreast of things that are going on nationally. And Chuck, maybe 2 years ago, sat down and described to me that in some communities across the country, hospitals were teaming up with housing organizations in state government to create housing. Why do we want to do that? When I was a member of the General Assembly, it was brought to our attention through some work of a physician in Camden that their hospital system saw a revolving door of the same patients over and over. And yes, those patients came into the hospital because they had health care needs, but many times they lacked housing. I've known of social service departments within hospital that languish for days, not being able to discharge patients because those patients have nowhere to go. So we began to examine, as Micheline described, marrying health care systems with state agencies that could do something about it. So that is now our focus in New Jersey with our housing development agencies. And we also have to tip our hat to organizations like Penrose that step up to work in partnership with us. So what will be happening in the South Ward is funding that has been put on the table by RWJ Barnabas and money that will be put on the table from the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And with those resources, we will develop what we call specialized housing. There will be affordable housing units built, as Micheline described, for those, who are challenged. They tell us that you're only supposed to use 30% of your income for housing. We know that there are people in our state, and particularly in the city of Newark, who probably use 90% of their income to pay rent. So we want to change that trajectory by doing these initiatives. You know that in the governor's budget this year, he created something called the Office of Homelessness Prevention. It is housed in DCA as well. And we've taken a riff from the initiative that Mayor Baraka started. And one of the things we will be doing in our Office of Homelessness Prevention is providing legal assistance to people who are challenged with eviction, because many times they shouldn't be. And a lot of things happen to low-income people who are faced with eviction. So we'll be doing that initiative as well. So when a municipality and a healthcare system have interest in this model, we stand at the ready as state government to provide whatever support that we can. So for this initiative, we'll be doing the building, construction of housing, and then through our voucher program at DCA, we will be providing Section 8 housing subsidy to the people that live in those developments. These are exciting new initiatives. We have now developed one in Jersey City. We've developed one in Patterson. And today we are dedicating and announcing the initiative RWJ and the City of Newark. And I think that nothing could be more exciting than this. What I love, the City of Newark doesn't describe its population as homeless people. It describes its population as our neighbors without addresses. And I think that's the way we should look at that. And I'm going to just close with this. There are many people in this state who are one paycheck away from being homeless. And government has an obligation to come to the table with entities like RWJ, like Penrose, to address and attack that problem. So I want to congratulate everybody at RWJ for stepping up.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We so appreciate your leadership and the dedication and commitment of this administration in ensuring that we are able to help to make our communities healthier places. As the Executive Vice President and Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at RWJ Barnabas Health, I have the delightful opportunity to lead a fantastic team of enthusiastic and dedicated individuals as we drive social impact and community investment across the system. As a result, there are many individuals who know me in that regard. But none of this would happen today if, in fact, we did not have a visionary leader who understood several years ago that we needed to change the mission of our healthcare system. That it would not be enough to merely wait for individuals to come through the doors, that we would wait until individuals were ill and needed our clinical services, but that we needed to make certain that we went out of our doors and into the communities, that we addressed the social determinants of health, where and how we live, work, play, and age. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce each of you to our President and CEO at RWJ Barnabas Health, Barry Ostrowski.
Thank you, Micheline. It is nice to walk up here without a cane or a boot. Good afternoon, everyone. This is an incredibly exciting day, and Madam Lieutenant Governor, thank you for your kind words. They're truly appreciated. I have a particular interest in this project. I was born at the Beth, as was Darrell Terry, our CEO of Newark Beth Israel Medical Center, and others in the room. But I lived on Shepherd Avenue between Osborne Terrace and Bergen Street. And I used to shop with my mother and parents on Bergen Street all the time. It was a vibrant commercial community. One of my favorite things was to sit in the fire truck in the firehouse that was right on Bergen Street. Obviously, it's not like that right now, but it will be again. It will be again because of the great partnership that, frankly, your leadership and the leadership of our visionary mayor has formed in order to address these kinds of needs. As Micheline pointed out, we are in the health business, not the healthcare business, the health business. The health of our communities is our mission. And what we've determined, and this is not new, most people are not healthy not because they don't have access to health care, it's because they don't have a stable job, they don't have good housing, they live in a community that's plagued by violence that we can stop. and there isn't a sufficient level of economic development, and of course there's food insecurity. That is the agenda of RWJ Barnabas Health. Yes, we love doing spectacular clinical things. We love teaching the next generations of clinicians. But if we're going to stay true to our mission, which is to improve the health of the community, this project is the hallmark. Giving people stable housing that's affordable, that permits them to have a life other than just worrying about the next rent payment, is what we're all about. Obviously, none of this can happen just because of one organization, and frankly, it can't happen exclusively on the private side. We have great governmental and elected leadership in Trenton, and of course, our ongoing partner here in Newark, the mayor, has been a visionary, and he speaks eloquently about the obligation we have as an anchor in this city to promote economic development so everyone who lives here can benefit from that which goes on in this community. Newark has already made incredible strides over the last number of years, both regionally and nationally, and we hope that which we're doing by making this project a reality and contributing along with our partners will in fact accelerate the great trajectory on which Newark is now proceeding. So I thank you again, Lieutenant Governor and Mr. Mayor, for whom I'm just a warm-up act today. I want to thank you for your leadership. Chuck, thank you so much. And of course to our development partner at Penrose. All this is to prove that these kinds of teams will make a difference. We couldn't be more excited, and we can't wait to invite you to the ribbon cutting once this building is up. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barry, and thank you for your consistent leadership in ensuring that we fulfill the mission that our board helped us to adopt. Your next speaker today is an individual that so many of us certainly know, but what we know most about him is that none of this is merely made up. Everything that he does in the orchestration of his duties really comes from, at his heart, at its core, what it is in reference to the way in which he was raised and how he grew up right here on the streets in the city of Newark. It is because of the fact that he has the best interests of the individuals whose names we all wish we knew quite the way that he does, that we're able to stand here today, because he keeps them at the forefront of his thinking as well. There were many individuals, and so we thank, of course, his leadership and his administration, his deputy mayor, Allison Ladd, thank you so much. There was the city council, who very quickly put together a resolution so that we could get this through at the end of the year, and so Councilman Sharp James, we thank him very much. But it was the mayor of this city that first said to me several years ago, when are we going to get into the aspect of actually doing housing? Because he utilizes a view that is really that has a public health perspective. And so with that, without further ado, I welcome you to welcome your mayor to this podium, Mayor Baraka, who is the new public health official.
I like coming to y'all events, man. The introductions is, fire. So I just want to first thank the Murphy administration, the governor, the lieutenant governor who's here with us, DCA, Chuck. We got to give you an office here in the city of Newark. You're here so much with us. We appreciate you partnering with RWJ Barnabas, Barry, focused on the same kind of things for a very long time. Us here in the city of Newark have been trying to revitalize Bergen Street for a very, very long time. We actually, and it's all in concert, because we actually have an RFP out on the street about Bergen Street. In fact, the Bergen Street redevelopment plan that we finished, because we're interested in making sure that Bergen Street is the street that I remember growing up in the city of Newark. And we know that in that area, first of all, we spent about $100 million outside of the city of Newark on things like retail, electronics, hair care, all of those kind of things. So there is a market for retail in that community that's missing. We also know that housing is extremely important in our city, our community, that we need more affordable housing in the city of Newark. So all of these things work hand in hand in making sure that we make Newark a city that we all can believe in. And again, and I appreciate RWJ Barnabas and Beth Israel Hospital ability and capacity and willingness to come and partner with the city of Newark and decide that they want to go into the housing business. Because what Barry said is 100% correct. Healthcare has to do it, a lot to do with your place, not just a disease you caught, but your behavioral patterns, the place you live, the environment you're around, and it's important for us to make sure that environment is improved. And I know that the Bergen Lions Clinton Improvement District, under the leadership of Ronise Bruce, she might have a different name now, I'm sorry. I knew her when she was in high school with me. Appreciates this as well, because Bergen Street will be revitalized. It actually adds character to the community and help that's much needed in that neighborhood. And I live around the corner too, by the way. I live on Shears, so right there I can walk up to Bergen, make a left, and see the development taking place right there on the block. So I'm incredibly excited about it, and I look forward to furthering our partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So much of this work actually is able to occur because of the fact that we, of course, are a neighbor to you, since our hospital is Newark Israel Medical Center under the great leadership of Darryl Terry and his incredible team. We are delighted that we have a CEO at that particular facility who understands without a shadow of a doubt the role that we ought to play, that we must play in our community. So we're delighted to be there and to be your neighbor, quite frankly. Now we have the great opportunity to hear from the individual who brings to his current role some 40 years of experience in New Jersey state government. I know that I've known Chuck for a very long time. Chuck, I'm not going to say it's been for a full 40 years because I don't want to disclose that myself. But his prior roles with the New Jersey State Energy Office, as well as being the commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, really bring together the best of what it is in order for us to make an event like this even possible. He has been completely dedicated to working with us, as hospitals sometimes are not accustomed to becoming housing experts. And so he has really been incredibly patient and kind. So with that, Chuck, we are delighted to welcome you to the stage and look forward to hearing your comments. Please put your hands together for Chuck Richmond.
You know, by some measures, and I think most people think of it, when they hear something called the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, that glosses over. It's a bank. That's all it does is lend money to developers who may or may not care about the neighborhoods they're in. And Lieutenant Governor made mention of our meeting probably now 20 months ago, where I referenced that hospitals around the country are starting to be involved in this business, but they're doing it on their own. And what we spoke about was, how do we marshal the state government to make this work, not only in particular neighborhoods or one-offs, but how do we establish a statewide program to work with hospitals to build affordable housing? And more importantly, hospitals as anchor institutions in their communities, they are large employers. They have a footprint that dominates often neighborhoods. And how do hospitals as those anchor institutions can partner with us to make a neighborhood revitalized, come back? And what we're doing here today is talking about what we're going to do in the South Ward of Newark. And Lieutenant Governor keeps track. I've got to deliver more towns on a regular basis, and we're working on that. The anchor institution is important, not just creating this individual housing project we've spoken about, and Barry made mention of it, and certainly the mayor and Lieutenant Governor, and the hard group to follow, by the way. one of the aspects of our financing projects, and by the way, this is a $25 or $26 million project, so roughly 75 units of housing, is that we don't leave the neighborhood behind. The worst thing we could do is build something, and in some cases, developers walk away from it. Somebody else is going to run it. That's not the case with Penrose, and certainly not the case of what we're doing here in Newark. But part of our plan, and we asked our board for $12 million to be set aside to run this program. I guess it was about a year ago. We've gone back to our board and asked our board to up that number to 30 million, because we have commitments to do that. But of that 30 million, we're setting aside $5 million, and roughly, because I think we have roughly 5 towns who we're working with now, that there's $1 million available for work in those neighborhoods. You know, it's terrific. We're building a beautiful, new, safe, clean environment, healthy building. But if right next door there's mold growing in that child's bedroom, we need to do something about it. And so we're pledging, as part of the program, to put $1 million, start with $1 million in the neighborhoods to help deal with that. You know, it's an essential ingredient. And with our New Jersey Redevelopment Authority, they will play an integral part with us in those neighborhoods. You know, NJRA helps finance small businesses. That's the heart of what they do. And so the bringing back the neighborhood to small businesses with the name of an owner on the front of it, not Starbucks and not some national brand, but who is local. That's how you build a neighborhood back. That's how you create more local jobs. And that is part of this program's intent. So we are here today not only to commit, and want to do a groundbreaking real soon with the architectural firms here someplace. We want to see that happen sooner than later. We're committed not only to building this building, but committed to a neighborhood and committed to yet future projects here in Newark, Mayor. Happy to do it. Thank you.
Chuck, thank you so very much. We will hold you to that promise, I will tell you that. This room is entirely too quiet for the energy that we should really have. This is an incredibly exciting day. Yeah. We're here because all of these entities realize that no one of us could do this by ourselves. We are here because at RWJ Barnabas, we understood that it is not enough just to say that we're a large economic engine and yet leave the communities outside of our door on their own in order to figure it out. Anchor institutions utilize their place-based presence in order to make certain that we are buying locally and hiring locally and investing locally. And so when we were looking for a partner for this particular project, we then turned to Penrose. And it was interesting. When we talked to them about the way in which our mission requires that we hire and buy and invest, they did not run out of the room because they were afraid. Instead, they said, it sounds like our missions might very well be aligned. They have been delightful partners to work with throughout this time. And Jacob Fisher is going to come before you now in order to speak with you a little bit more about the details of the project. Please, Jacob, the Regional Vice President of Penrose.
Nothing to take the energy out of the room like the developer coming up. So on behalf of Penrose, which is a firm that's been in business for over 40 years and has been active in Newark for 15 years, and we've developed over that time more than 500 units of affordable and also student housing within the city. And so we consider this to be a home away from home for us and a place for which we have great commitment. We are very honored to be here today. So on behalf of the owners, Richard Barnhart, Mark Dambly, and Tim Henkel, we are happy to be partnering with RWJ and NJHMFA to bring forth this quality housing development and to participate in the revitalization of the South Ward. This work would not be possible without, first and foremost, the support of the mayor and council to help us through all of the work that we need to do with the city in order to bring this to fruition. And it would not be possible without the leadership of NJHMFA to recognize the opportunity here, and the vision of Robert Wood Johnson to say, hey, there's an opportunity to lead and to revitalize our neighborhood. And so we're really happy to be part of this partnership. I'm excited personally to be working with the team on the ground here in Newark, led by Deanna Minus-Vincent, who has been a tireless advocate from RWJ to move things forward. But if we could give a little applause to Deanna. And I also see Bryson Palmer and Kim Cook, who we have been working with as well on the ground here, and President Terry, thank you very much for your support. We have assembled a really nice team of quality professionals, led by, with Penrose, my colleague Harry Moody in the back over there, little wave. Kitchen and Associates, Steve Schock, the managing principal, and Grant Engineering, Brian Grant, based here in Newark. So we've got a really nice professional team, and we are ready to get going. And so I will leave you with this. We have the team put together, we have the wind at our back, and we're going to put our shoulders to this and do what we do very best, is develop housing and get started. So thank you very much. Excuse me, sir.
While that does in fact conclude the formal portion of our program, we shall open the floor to questions limited to this topic alone. Might we have any questions about this topic? Well then, seeing none, we thank you so much for being here at the launch of this journey. We expect and look forward to seeing you every step of the way. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.